It's such a shame how much of a victim of our own success we are, or America is a victim of its own success. Um, you know, people they have it so good that they have they have the time to what do they say, navel gaze. They have the time to navel gaze and argue about better forms of communism and uh, arguing to fight against poverty and this arguing for big changes in America, or even changes that will have a huge impact down the line. They're arguing for this stuff, and they've never been out of America. They've never seen another culture work. They've never seen another. They've never seen other real poverty. I've never seen a dead body in my life, like up close. And I think most people in America are that way. People they've seen so little, but they behave as if they're like Magellan. They've been all over the planet and they've seen where it's done better. They've seen another country where they do it better. They have better ideas, and it's totally ridiculous. They like the loudest, like a lot of young people my age and younger. They've never seen anything of the world. They've never seen hardship, poverty. They've never seen people starve to death. They don't know what being hungry is like. Uh, and and that's they end up almost damaging our culture. They end up turning against our culture and attacking it. And it's a real problem. Like, and our education system sucks. It doesn't set people. It doesn't ground people in reality. I mean, if anything, it teaches them the opposite of reality. It teaches them an ideology, that doesn't match up with the world, but it matches up with America if you've never left America. Like the worst poverty in America is like, it's a luxurious place compared to some parts of the world. And, you know, people talk about the poor, and like they don't talk about the hungry necessarily anymore, although they bring up food deserts and they talk about getting good food because the poor are obese. You can't say that they're starving. They're the opposite of starving. They're the exact opposite. And like that doesn't it doesn't occur to people that we have such abundance here that our poor don't starve, they die from obesity related causes. I mean, our abundance is so great here that we can afford to give billions in aid all over the planet. And still, we throw away tons of food every day. Half eaten food, half drank sodas. Like, I remember my mom people would say, there are starving kids in China, and they talk you into eating or drinking, finishing something. But like, our abundance is so great. I mean, we pour billions into the rest of the world, and we are still the land of milk and honey. We're still overflowing. I mean, it's getting it's it hasn't been that way for a little while anyway. We've been borrowing. We're 30 trillion in debt. But up until 2000, all that all that we were doing, and Bill Clinton got us a budget surplus. I mean, and we were aided by the billions all over the world, and we still had more than we needed. Still, there was that abundance there. And today we have people like Zoran Mamdani talking about public grocery stores and stuff, which honestly if I don't wish bad things for New York, but I almost wish they do vote this guy Mamdani in there, because being the mayor of New York, there's a lot of power to that, but it's a very concentrated bit of power. You know, it's not like when becoming a president where it's going to affect us all. Becoming the mayor or the governor of New York, it's not going to affect me down south all that much. Same thing with LA. It's not going to affect me. And what happens in Florida is not going to affect California or New York very much. But being in control of New York, it will make things stark. It will make things. It will force people to reckon with their ideology, because New York, it's a grand scale. I mean, that is not a small town. That's millions and millions of people. So when you roll out policies and stuff, it's at scale. It's not a nationwide thing, but it's at scale, and it's the main city, the city that all news comes out of practically. So everybody, it's got a magnifying glass on it all the time. So and when things go bad there, everybody knows it. So if this Mamdani gets in and he puts in these public grocery stores, I mean, there's these younger generations that are so dumb that they protesting for Palestinians from the river to the sea, and then you'd ask them what river and what sea, and they have no clue, none whatsoever. And I mean, I'm not making a value judgment either on the Israel Gaza thing. I don't care truly, but it just says something when people are out protesting for a cause that they literally know nothing about, like next to nothing. It's a social. It's almost like going to a party or something. It's like a little social get together that they're doing. They don't know what they're talking. They're not researched. They're not well read. And it's the same thing with these people that are anti-capitalist or communist. They don't realize how the rest of the world was on rations. Even the richest of country had rations of sugar, everything, except America. Before World War II and up until the end of World War, or even till like the 60s. But after the 60s, because every other country Americanized, now the whole world is overflowing. It's a cornucopia. Europe, they have more than they know what to do with. Japan, more than they know what to do with. Everybody that Americanized after World War, because we had an abundance in World War II. We had so much, in Germany, the great powerhouse of Europe, people were rationed, like they got like a spoonful of sugar a week, and they got a certain amount of bread every day. Whereas everybody knows how stark the difference was, and when Germany realized, they realized they were getting their asses kicked, like in the Battle of the Bulge, when we were more concerned about getting a special Christmas chocolate cake to our GIs than we were. That was our number one priority for Christmas, was to make sure our GIs had this special taste of home, this chocolate cake, during the Battle of the Bulge. And when their code breakers or whatever got a hold of it and saw it, they realized that they had no chance in winning that war. If Americans, we're fighting for our lives, and Americans are bickering about whether or not chocolate cake is going to get to their soldiers by Christmas Eve on time. That's what and they're wasting shipping space for this. They're wasting. Instead of sending weapons, guns, and ammunition and medical supplies, they're sending cakes on their ships over to Europe. That was a major psychological blow to the Germans. Like, could you imagine fighting an enemy that their abundance is so great, they're not even concerned with beating you. You are a foregone conclusion. They know they've won. They know it's a matter of time. Now they're just concerned with what happens in the lead up to the end. I mean, and they knew. I mean, the Germans. Anybody who they could see the writing on the wall. These people are worried about chocolate cakes. They're not worried about losing. They have no concept of loss, and that's what needs to happen here with these people, with all these idiots that are against the U.S. That capitalism changed that, made Europe into the land of milk and honey. America, Canada, Australia, uh, uh, all kinds of places. And that's because of capitalism. It raised so many people. It brought abundance to so many parts of the planet that that had never had it. And we were the first ones to have it. Even the Germans, which were like the second most technologically advanced country next to us, even they could not imagine. They didn't. They could never in their wildest dreams could they have imagined what we were capable of with industrialized. When it comes to being industrialized, how much we could produce. Their propaganda was fairy tales, and they couldn't even conceive of it. And but we brought that to capitalism. Brought that to them. Capitalism, and and we have a great recipe for life here in America, and it works with a lot of different people and a lot of different places. And we if we allow this vocal minority to change America enough to where the experiment fails, or if we allow them to damage this country that we have to bequeath to our kids, we will have been derelict in our duty, in our stewardship. We will have been derelict. It's like every time we lose a species of animal to extinction, that is a dereliction of our stewardship of the planet. And every time quality of life goes down in America, that is a dereliction of our stewardship of the country. And I think, man, we've got to find a way to get beyond to cut through the propaganda and shock people out of it. Like I said, maybe we could pay for plane tickets, or force people that when they turn 18, where they have to go to a third world country, and see what it's like in another country where abundance isn't the default, where people are starving. People need to see the other side. They think the grass is greener, but there is no grass greener. They get propagandized, and they're told of some utopia place that doesn't exist. People say, yeah, they've done it in Denmark and this and that. Those places don't exist. And we need to find a way to cut through the brainwashing and the propaganda and wake people up that, okay, maybe, and maybe it won't shock them out of being a socialist, but it will give them perspective, and it will change their opinion on things, some things. Nobody is going to come back with the exact same opinions, or thinking the exact same as their preconceived notions. There's no way. Either that or they're a vegetable. But I just think it would really behoove us to put something like that in place, and I'd be willing to pay my taxes towards it, to go in tandem with an education, to get some knowledge of the world out there, see how it goes. We shouldn't be relying on the military or wars to get people to travel, because that's the thing. We're a victim of our own success. America's so great. I don't even have my passport. Many people have never left the country. And that's a problem, because we will mess up a good thing. Humans do that, and we will do it if we don't change something, if we don't figure out a way to bring the youth back down to reality and ground them in reality, truly.